The border war in southwest Africa, now Namibia, was a long and brutal conflict. By the late 1970s, the South African government faced an intensifying insurgency from the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, or PLAN, the armed wing of SWAPO. The dense bush and vast terrain of Ovambo land proved a difficult battleground for conventional forces. Enter Hans Dreyer, a seasoned officer in the South African Police Security Branch. Dreyer was a man who cut his teeth on counter-insurgency warfare. He had served in Rhodesia during the Bush War, observing the tactics of units like the Selous Scouts. He believed that to defeat an insurgent you had to think like one, track like one, and fight on their terms. In 1978, the top brass of the South African Defence Force requested the police assistance in gathering intelligence on planned movements. Dreyer saw an opportunity for something more than just intelligence gathering. He envisioned a highly mobile, unconventional unit dedicated not to just finding the enemy, but to eliminating them. In June 1979, this vision became reality with the formation of a unit initially known as Operation K of the Security Branch's Special Operations Division. It would soon become infamous by its Afrikaans name, Koevoet, meaning crowbar. The name was a metaphor for the unit's intended purpose, to pry insurgents out of the civilian population. Dreyer, who would become known to his men as Sterk Hans or Strong Hans, was appointed to lead the new unit. He drew heavily on his Rhodesian experience, modelling Koevoet on the principles of the Selous Scouts. The core idea was simple but effective: combine the tracking skills of local Ovambo volunteers with the firepower and discipline of white police officers. The unit's primary tactic was tracking. Teams, often consisting of around 40 black special constables led by white officers and warrant officers, would patrol vast areas in their intimidating mine-protected Casper vehicles. When fresh tracks were discovered, the trackers would dismount and follow the spoor on foot, sometimes for days, while the Caspers provided fire support and mobility on the flanks. Dreyer constructed Koevoet for small unit actions. The unit was divided into platoon-sized fighting groups designated Zulu teams. This allowed them to cover more ground and react quickly to contacts. They operated with a degree of autonomy rarely seen in conventional forces, a testament to Dreyer's belief in decentralized command for counterinsurgency. The results was devastatingly effective. Koevoet quickly gained a reputation as the most formidable counterinsurgency unit in the conflict. They claimed a kill rate far exceeded other units, accounting for a significant portion of planned insurgents killed during the war. This effectiveness was driven by a relentless pursuit of their quarry and, controversially, a bounty system that paid members for every insurgent killed or captured and for captured weapons. But Koevoet's success came at a heavy price. The unit's methods were ruthless. They were accused of widespread atrocities against civilians, including intimidation, torture during interrogations, and extrajudicial killings. The line between combatant and civilian was often blurred in the brutal realities of the Bush War. Years later, the South African Truth and Reconciliation Commission would find Koevoet responsible for gross human rights violations. Through it all, Hans Dreyer remained at the helm. His success in the field earned him promotion through the ranks, eventually becoming a Major General in the South African Police. He was seen by the state as an indispensable asset in the fight against what they termed the total onslaught. To his supporters, he was a brilliant and pragmatic commander who did what was necessary to win a dirty war. To his detractors, he was the architect of a brutal machine of oppression. Koevoet was officially disbanded in 1989 as part of the transition to Namibian independence. The unit fought its final battles right up until the end, even after its official dissolution was announced. General Dreyer retired from the police force and lived out his remaining years in South Africa. General Hans Dreyer passed away in 2015 without ever facing prosecution for the activities of the unit he created. His legacy and that of Koevoet remains deeply divisive, a stark reminder of the brutal complexities of the South African border war. He was the man who forged a crowbar to pry open an insurgency, forever leaving his mark on the history of that region. On a personal note, and to explain, the Brig will always be the Brig to me, even though later he became a general. Now, for the life of me, I cannot remember the Brigadier's wife's name. I always called her Tannie, which is Afrikaans for auntie, a sign of respect. But she always requested me as her transport driver, and if she and a friend needed to go into town, or if she needed to be taken to Ondangwa to catch a flossie, military transport back to the States, which was slang for South Africa, perhaps she chose me because I kept my mouth shut and afforded her the respect she deserved. But I can tell you this, whenever the Brig gave me that assignment, I was more nervous than going on deployment, because I knew if anything happened to her, I would not be able to face the wrath of the Brig. It's anger and disappointment. Tannie, if you're out there somewhere, God bless. If you've joined the Brigadier up there, then Godspeed. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.